Good evening. This is Penelope Flynn, Otto, and Sonia, and we are here this evening as your Blerdsassins Next Door from the Other Hood. Tonight we're going to be discussing Did I Get the Message? Which will be our discussion of all those songs and plays and television shows and films where we thought we were enjoying it until someone told us we completely missed the point, and vice versa. So before we get started, we will talk a little about the weather. Um, Otto, how's the weather your side of the world, which is also
Uh,
my
the
side of the world?
well, the weather was great. I couldn't ask for a more better day if I designed it myself. It was 70 degrees, sunny, um, just a great day, and it's getting a little colder, but enjoyed today's weather.
Excellent. And how about you, Sonia? How was your weather?
Okay, Case, I've got my cap still on, so that tells you it's cold.
Still chilly?
I didn't think it got above 32, but they predicted that it was going to start snowing at 11 a.m. and not
Wow.
stop until tomorrow evening, and so far they're right.
Whoa. How many inches do you expect?
It's been really light so far for the first wave, so it's probably but they got like an inch, maybe an inch and a half. But the main part of it's supposed to dump tonight, which we get like 3 to 4 ish if we're lucky, if it doesn't turn to sleet and ice.
Wow. Well, I'm
So
hoping it does not turn to sleet and ice so that you
yeah,
all, can at least get in and out,
and I've had my baptism by sliding. I fell and fell on the big part of my butt. I was lucky on that,
Well,
but
if
enough to
there
make people and managers come out of the parking lot and went, "Are you okay? Are you okay?"
Look, I think that if you fall on the nice fleshy part of your butt, that's the best place to fall.
Yep. So yeah, but managers of 2 stores came out running to make sure I was okay.
Well, that's kind. That's very kind. Yeah. All right. Now, I know that the subject matter, as of course it flows from, all the discussion that has followed Kendrick Lamar's halftime show at the Super Bowl. And, people watch it, said, okay, this is what it meant. Other people said, oh no, this is what it meant. Or other people saying, oh, it's kind of boring because you didn't understand what was going on. So it brought up this whole concept of, you know, when I was growing up, I know people who I was in school with who could find symbolism in a bowl of cornflakes. So, to some extent, I see a little of this happening now. And
I like that phrase.
yeah, so yeah, but now, we've seen this, but it brought to mind all these other shows, movies, pieces of music, and someone would say, "This is what this means," and you would say, "Okay, I thought it was something completely different." And I'll just keep my mouth shut because, emperor's new clothes. I don't want anybody to say I have no idea what I'm talking about. So, for anyone, is there anything like that for you? I know I could start the ball rolling with a film that I saw and I watched and I said, uh-huh. So that was definitely a film because it was on the screen and it started and it ended and it had credits. Okay, I had no idea what the heck is about Eraserhead. Now, my significant other liked the film. And if my daughter liked the film, I'm mystified by Eraserhead. So, I had to have people to explain Eraserhead to me because I'm sorry, I'm not getting it. Please help me, individuals. I'm not getting it.
What do you need
So,
help with? The title or the
no, I
movie
mean,
or?
well, I mean, okay. Number one, it's called, of course, Eraserhead, right? And I guess I don't know why. I mean, it's because of his hair and stuff
Yeah,
being
because
like
it's
the
hair,
shape. But other people had their hair in that shape. They weren't called Eraserhead.
not their movie.
Yeah, I'm just saying, So I mean, if it was, then okay. And then you have this monster baby that keeps screaming all night and can't sleep. And then the wife, the mom, I guess wife, mom absconds, and he's left there to take care of this screaming baby thing. And then all like the visuals and stuff going on throughout it, which something I didn't know whether parts of it were real or dream state or whatever. And maybe I'd have to watch it again, but I don't want to do that. So I am just going to sit here and revel in my ignorance because I do not want to watch Eraserhead again. So that's it. That's my shrug. I don't get it. Uh, film to start us off. It just
Well,
do you
not everything is symbolism.
well,
Some
yeah.
things just are what they are.
Well, yeah, but it's hard for me because again, then you're talking about a truly kind of weird fictional environment that I'm completely a fish out of water in. You know,
Right.
yeah. So it's very. Maybe I'd have to see it again now. As an older person, I guess a person who having had children and multiple children, and maybe I would see it differently from what it was when I first saw it because I'm kind of like I'm looking at you like what's this guy looking at here? I'm not getting it. Okay.
Well, you also have to be in the mood, right, to see
Yeah, you're
those
right.
movies.
You're right. There's certain things you have
And
to be in the
so,
mood.
and then the expectations, because it's a David Lynch film,
Hmm.
so his expectations of it's going to be different, right?
Yeah, and you were definitely more of a film buff than I ever was. So when you're watching a David Lynch film, you have expectations to what that is supposed to mean. And I'm just going along for the ride and kind of looking at you like, what's going on here? What's he trying to do to my brain? I don't get it. So yeah,
Well,
you had
no,
an understanding of what it is that you're watching, where I did not.
well, also it's the thing is I don't mind reading critic reviews before going to see a film.
Hmm.
So I don't mind certain films. I don't like doing homework for films, but for a
Right.
lot of art films, even back in the day,
Hmm.
you have to. There's a little bit of homework. I didn't consider it homework, but there's certain classical reviewers like um, there was Pauline Kael and um, uh, I forgot the guy's name. He used to write for the Village Voice, but there are a bunch of people who wrote about art house films, and
Hmm.
they'll tell you exactly what they saw in the film, and you could, after you see it, you can,
Extrapolate what
agree
it
with it.
was when you're
Yeah,
seeing. Okay.
agree with their depiction of the film and the aspect of the film. So it's these film like Eraserhead takes a little more work, right? It takes a
Hmm.
little more work, and if you're watching it and you think you're going to see just like things that you expect to see in a normal movie,
Hmm.
then it's kind of little. It comes at a little off. But some of the symbolism is symbolism, and some of it is just movie, because that's the world that they're in and that you're seeing.
Hmm. Yeah, I would
So
have to see it again. I think because that is one film, where the other films that are bad that I want my 2 hours back, for my life. But Eraserhead is particularly troublesome to me in that, of course, you like it. My daughter likes it. Everybody's seen it. This is, this cult film by David Lynch, and but I didn't like what's that show he did, Twin Peaks.
I didn't watch that.
I
The
didn't
the
like it.
the critic name I messed up was Jay Hoberman.
Hmm.
Jay Hoberman from the Village Voice.
Hmm.
But you watch these films, and you're not going to watch every. I mean, everything the director does is not. Blue
Yeah.
Velvet. I wasn't a fan of that,
Right.
but
Right.
Eraserhead I was a fan because it has a certain mood about it that I liked, which is a dystopian type mood.
Hmm. Yeah. So, but that's again one of the films that's on my list of yeah, that the people are writing their theses, on Eraserhead, and I am, trying to figure out, okay, what's going on here? What? But you're right, it need to be in kind of a certain mood, mindset, settle into it.
Expectation, yeah,
Yes, and I
it's not
was.
it's not a Steven Spielberg movie, right?
Hmm.
It's not a suburb white picket fence, that kind of It's not that kind of movie. You're not going to see
It's
any stars in it or anything like that. It's like
mhm.
what brings you to the movie is not anyone who's starring in it. It's the director and the mood and seeing something different.
Okay. I'm with you on that. Now, maybe someday, when I'm doing my our grandma Joe, was it Grandpa Joe and Grandma Josephine, where we're stuck in the bed like a Willy Wonka and we can't get up, then maybe I'll, I'll watch Eraserhead again. So that's what we can do. All right. So you have here, you got Sonia, you got Otto. Do you all have anything like that where you were watching, listening, whatever to something you think, oh well, this nice, or oh it's terrible, and people say, well, you just don't get it because of XYZ, or you find something that you enjoy, you like it, other people say I don't get it, and then you find yourself and explain what it is that you're listening to, what it is that you're watching.
Well, the Super Bowl proved that I didn't get Kendrick Lamar until I saw the Super Bowl.
Ah,
um, I sent to you guys, and I can post them in the comments, two
please do.
explainer videos that I found that helped me. I appreciated his wordsmith,
Hmm.
but it just didn't click until I saw the visuals of the halftime show.
Cool.
And now I'm like, oh boy, I've been missing a lot.
I think that's great. I really do.
Um,
I think it's wonderful that you are
mhm,
able to say, okay, I have the words, then I put these words together with these visuals, and then it clicks. I think
mhm.
that's wonderful. I think that shows that the the concept of doing the halftime show was a good idea. Because if it made any one person understand it better than what they
Yeah.
did just from hearing it, then it's worth it.
See, as a film student, I'm used to seeing seeing how the music enhances the visuals. In this case, it was the visuals enhancing the
The
music,
lyrics, yeah,
because I
okay.
I don't listen to the radio much anymore. So I
Hmm.
never heard any of his songs incomplete. So even though
Ah,
these were snippets, I heard enough of them in the Super Bowl to go, "Oh, now I get it. Now I understand your references." Because yeah, it's kind of like interpretive dance for his music. So it was had me go backwards from how I was trained to learn.
mm-hmm. So you can
Usually
post your things, so you can put the
yeah,
unhide them so that people
uh,
can see them on the screen.
yeah. So I found two ladies who dissected it that helped. Let's see if I can. Oh well, come on. There we go. Oh, I'll get it on there. And the other things I like you were watching. Um, hold on, it's making me reconnect again because I forgot I haven't
Hmm.
connected on this machine. um, we were talking about our tour films. Um, yeah. What's his name? Kubrick. When I first saw Clockwork Orange, I was like, "Say what?"
Yeah, see, I saw Clockwork Orange, I think, the first time I saw it, I think I was too young
Yes.
to watch it because I spent too much time being shocked by some of the images. So,
How old were you?
oh, I don't know. I had to be in my teens and saw it on
When you're
cable.
college or high school?
I wasn't in college yet. I was in my teens and I was watching it on cable.
Oh, hold
And
on.
yeah, I see it
No,
there.
see, yeah, but they jumbled them together, which means you can't link them. Can't click on them. So I'll
Uh,
put them in again separate.
okay, cool beans. Now, so for myself, yeah, I was a little young, and so a lot of the visuals were a little much for me. So when I saw it again, when I was an adult, it was very different from my ability to get through the tale. Um, because I think something like that, probably if I had read it,
Mm-hmm.
instead of having seen the film first, I probably would not have been as shocked with the images because my brain would have made the images such that I could manage them. But to have somebody else's view of what those things look like, was of course a little much. You know, and the guys walking around in their the cod pieces and singlet things, and when they killed the woman with the art thing with the giant penis and stuff like that, it was like, okay, this is much. And then the battering of people and stuff, that was much. So yeah, it was young me was I could not absorb everything because of that, you know.
You need to have some of these things. You need to understand the language, and film has a very distinct set of things you do for language.
No, I think it's just that I was too young to be watching that. It's just like
Yeah,
I
I
was
think I think you probably I think that's probably true, but I think it's the same thing with watching Kendrick Lamar in the Super Bowl.
hmm
I think that if you are familiar with Kendrick Lamar's work, then the performance means something to you different than if you're hearing him
hmm
for the first time, because a lot of people couldn't really understand what he was saying.
and it's
It's
very
like
different if you're someone who already knows, you know, the lyrics, that he's spitting in his
yeah,
performance,
it's like doing the
Mhm.
the best of songs. It's like
yeah, yeah, and
some
you already
things he
know
can't.
what he's going to say.
Yeah, like his stuff regarding Drake and
hmm
his stuff regarding when he says he sings DNA and not like us and Serena Williams doing her crip walk dance
Yeah,
that
I
was
thought she was
Mhm.
outlawed,
cute.
that she got penalized for at Wimbledon.
hmm
So it's all within context.
Yes.
And so like a lot of people didn't have that context, and they're like, I don't know what's going on. I'm not trying to go figure it out. Super Bowl halftime
hmm
shows need to be on point. It just needs. I don't need it. I shouldn't have to go to a dictionary.
Yeah, I mean that's how some people may feel,
Mhm.
but other people may feel it's a great opportunity for cultural exchange. For something like that. I never heard this song. I never listened to this song. I mean, there are performers that get up there and perform that I've never seen before. And if I'm interested in knowing what they're saying or what it comes from, then I'd look it up.
Right. They're
But
just like it's just like your racerhead thing. It's like you come you if you walk in off the street, to
hmm
watch a film, that's not the film that you're really gonna. You may not enjoy it as much. Let me put it that way.
right, right.
And the same thing with Kendrick Lamar. If you don't know the
Mhm.
context is beef with Drake or what he's said in his other songs and stuff, you may not get it as much. And then
hmm
like Sonia said, she was interested enough to go check other stuff out.
Yeah, and I'm hoping that other people are the same way. That there's something there. I didn't quite get it. Instead of just going shrug, shrug, I didn't get it. Take the next step, and try to listen to what other people are saying. And I'm sure people are having conflicting, sometimes discussions regarding what it was that it was supposed to, what they believe the symbolism was, and
Yeah.
why something was said a certain way or done a certain way. But still, it's discussion. I think that's important. I think that's the one thing that we have lost
We lost
over the
discussion.
past several years. Said the yeah, discussion. Somebody says a thing, and then another person gets
Gets
to disagree or agree or say I agree with this part, I don't agree with that part, or how does that work? And now people are of the mind that if you don't agree with them 100%, then they don't want to talk to you ever again. No one wants to discuss anything anymore. And so I'm glad it has done that. It has put people in the mind to discuss. And I think one of the other problems we have, and this is one of my new issues, is about how that Google, when we Google things, it used to be, excuse me, that when we were younger, if there was something we did not know, we would contact someone who did, and they would have a discussion about it, and then we might find out the information we asked for, and in addition, more information that we had not even thought about. But now, when we say, "Oh, I need to know the names of the seven hills of Rome," And so I just go into Google, or I can go to basically to put in my online request in Bing or wherever, and it spits it out. Where previously, I may have, called a friend and say, you went to Rome, a year ago. Do you know the names of the seven hills? You know, but now
Yeah,
we don't
I didn't know
do
they
that.
had names.
Yeah,
But
I didn't know they had names until I watched. Just it was a category on
And
the
Jeopardy,
Jeopardy, and they have names.
yeah,
So
and
I'm
it's kind of
looking at it, and the good thing. Okay, I know a lot of people don't like AI, but it's a tool, and if you use it correctly, you can find out a lot. So I used one of my tools saying, "What are the seven names, and why were they named that?"
hmm And see,
And so
okay, now
that
this
kind
thing. Okay, now that thing you just said. Now
of.
somebody says, "What are the seven names of seven hills?" And to go on and say, "Okay, it's this, 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 this,
Hmm.
this, this," right? But then, like you said in your question, you're asking, and why were they named
Right.
those things? But see, that's the thing. Normally, that you're getting a conversation, and we
Right.
don't have too many more conversations because now we just head into
well, that's the
whatever our
symbolism.
search engine is,
Yeah,
and grab it.
that's the missing symbolism. I mean, the things we take things so much for granted, like even
Hmm
the names of months and days, right?
Hmm.
Those are symbolisms too. I mean, they're January is called January for a reason, and Wednesday is called
hmm
Wednesday for a reason, and all
Right.
these things are, the different calendars and all of it. It's like we're sleepwalking
Yes.
through
And we don't know the
through time.
reasons behind those things.
Right.
And then even now, like you said, okay, instead of me saying, all right, as we sit here and you made that statement, I went on, and I looked and I asked, what are the names of the seven hills? And why are they named that? So now I can say, hey, Sonia, why are the seven hills named thusly? And then you can answer, and then that's a conversation,
Right.
Yeah,
you know, instead
It's
of us just
people. Yeah, people just take the bare facts and don't take time to ask the follow up, or
right,
even
right.
if they're asking the AI for the follow up, at least you're following up.
Yeah, but the thing
And,
is, the AI,
and
mean, they guess now they said the AI can sit there and have conversations and stuff with you, but
mhm.
I
it's
think,
not.
yeah,
It's
it's not
not.
this.
It's just spitting out. Right now, they're
Hmm
just spitting out the information they have. But I've
Yeah,
used it as a tool to find out stuff so that I can dig and find more stuff.
Right, right.
And
It's a
that's what the
researcher's
part that's
tool
right.
in that respect. But
it's
That's
not
again,
the
having.
but it's
It's,
hmm
yeah, it's not having a conversation with you. It's just
right, right.
it's sucking up all the information it can get about you as a human being, so it can use it for whatever purpose. And the thing about you mentioned googling, Penelope. The thing I hate
hmm
is that when you Google something now, the first thing you see is an AI response.
Right, right,
and people don't realize that that's just a computer summary. It may not be a true summary.
right. It may not have the accuracy or the level of
But
specificity
yeah,
that you're requiring for whatever your question. It's just like, that eats it up and spits it out.
like
You
I
know.
I remember in okay, well let me do the reverse of what our topic is. When
Mhm.
you know what the meaning of the movie or
Yes,
fill in the blank
yes,
is, and everybody else doesn't get it.
yes. Okay,
When
yeah.
I was
That's
in college, what and oh what's his name Griffith's movie um
Birth of a Nation.
yes everybody you have to see this. No, I don't. Yes, you do. If you're a film student, you have to see. No, I don't. And they were like, well, give me one good reason. I said, why am I going to sit and watch a film that talks about how the KKK came into being and terrorized people with my skin color? And you could see them all going, oh, we didn't realize it was about that.
so. What do you think it's about? I mean, that's thing's crazy.
They it's like you didn't know that he was a racist and blah blah blah, and you could see, and my teacher went, okay, because it was the teacher who was trying to pressure me into seeing it,
Hmm
oh okay, you don't have to see it after all. You kind of get the film, and you've
Yeah,
now made me see the film in a completely different way.
yeah. But then again, like that, your explanation is this: that people can watch something and certainly, absent themselves from the true crux of what's going on, the conversation itself. So I'm watching this. Boy, this is a really good movie with
And watch the
it's
camera
historical.
angles.
Yes,
Yes, and all
exactly,
that stuff.
exactly. But the substance, they are not understanding the substance of what this film is saying. And I think that's one of the problems, that we have, that you can watch this film and say, oh, again, like you say, oh, the great camera angles and the soft
Dialogue. Yeah.
lighting, yeah, exactly. Uh, the what do we call it? The pacing of the film and
Hmm.
all this without the technical aspects of it, without focusing on the fact that this is dreadful and false and the propaganda, you know, all these things, those just completely go over your head. It's like, how can you, as a professor, just, have an event where this film is being played for, your students or whomever, without being
Including.
very specific
Mhm.
as to what the meaning of this film was, the time in which it was created, why it was created. So far after the end of the Civil War, yet, trying to bring this concept, of the South will rise again,
Mhm.
that nonsense that they have, within it, that it's just, they want you to, and a lot of people want to say, oh, it's just a film. I said, no, if it was just a film, then why are you showing it?
Right.
Well, it's just the same thing as requested from TMC. The film has to be put into its proper context.
Right,
You can't walk in
context.
off the
Yep.
street and start watching it. You have to
Right.
understand it should be watched, and it
Hmm.
should be watched in various ways. Not only watched
Right.
as a film, but also watched as a film that was debuted in the Woodrow Wilson White House,
Hmm.
and that started off a I guess the reemergence of the KKK and racism and violent racism in this country. It
Hmm.
started all that stuff all over again, and it was reimagined outcomes of how how Reconstruction was done.
Hmm.
It's a powerful thing that should be seen, but
And
it's
understood in the
placed in a
context,
proper
like you say.
context. Yeah.
Right.
Hmm. But I knew that they weren't going to have those context calls.
Mhm.
So why am I going to put myself through that torture if you're not going to talk about the real thing?
Right.
Then to me, I saw that film in college, um, with I guess a world-renowned, how can you say, how was Leroy Jones? He was a playwright and so-called revolutionary and all that stuff. So I saw it in that, showed it in his class in that context. But if you don't place it in the right context, there's no way you should not be showing that film.
Right. And that's, one of the problems.
Hmm.
So just throws it out there and says, oh, this, film, it's fabulous. And I mean, it's kind of like the same as Gone with the Wind, right?
Hmm.
That they
Which I
say,
couldn't
oh,
understand.
mm-hmm,
I could when I saw Gone with the Wind, I
mm-hmm,
heard about it for a long time. I heard people talk
mm-hmm.
about it in film class, never seen it and everything. And when it first shown on television, I saw it. I think I was like 13, 14 years old. I said, "Oh my God, this should not be on television."
Mm-hmm. So what is this?
And of course, on television, they cut out a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, so
But
I've
So,
never,
I mean, the stuff they didn't cut out was
right.
bad
was
enough.
almost traumatized. It's like this should be on. No one explains that I'm going to see this.
Yep, no trigger warnings. No,
None.
nothing.
Mm. And we watched that film White Dog. I know that there were people who were just, oh, it's talking about animal abuse and how harmful the training is. You're
Ah,
missing.
no, it's
No,
not.
no.
That's not what it's
Yeah,
about.
that's that. I was like, you did notice who the dog attacks.
Well, the
Right.
symbolism in Gone with the Wind, it's a sweeping drama about the old South
Mm-hmm.
and the blah blah blah. I said, you know what? You put me in a room with someone who's not, I guess, African American, not black or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna look at that film in different ways because I'm
Yeah.
looking at this film and I'm looking at the Butterfly McQueen character and I'm looking
Yes.
at some of the way other black people are portrayed and I'm looking at the way that a society that was bent on enslaving people who look like me.
Mm-mm.
I don't look at it. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
you're right. I'm not.
Mhm.
I'm with you. I'm watching this thing and thinking, okay, and see, this is the trick that I hear all the time when like you're watching a film and you say, for instance, the Butterfly McQueen character, and she goes around talking about how she can birthing babies, and then when Melanie, I guess is her name, is getting ready to have the babies, oh, I don't know nothing about birthing babies, and Scarlett, O'Hara, like puts hands on her, slaps her. That would have been the end of that damn movie because that would have been the real throwdown right there. Because no, but when you hear people talk about it, and when I was a kid, I mean, I think I was when this was on television for the first time,
Mhm.
and I said, "What the heck?" Of her putting hands on that woman. I said, "Well, because she was doing this and she said that and blah blah." I said, "Don't see. That's a trick you play on stupid people. I'm not a stupid person. That no black person wrote those lines for Butterfly McQueen to say. These are lines that were written by what's her name, Mitchell, for this black woman to say. Now, she probably never had a conversation with a black woman before that wasn't a situation where there was an imbalance of power. So, when you have someone putting words in your mouth justifying doing something to you based on the words that they put in your mouth, no. See, I am not that gullible, to believe that, and I find that happens quite a bit when we are reading, we are discussing, books, films, and someone may say, oh well, so and so did this because the blah 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 black person, woman, whatever did this. Say, wait a minute, somebody wrote for them to do that, okay? This was not something that was organic and came up out of the ground. Someone wrote those words. Someone decided that it was going to be the black woman who was oversexed and angry. Somebody wrote that. It was not something that a black woman necessarily did or does, but something that someone wanted to put in their book or in their film that they thought would raise the level of drama. you know, if you can think about even like in the 70s, all the
Mhm.
quote unquote black exploitation films, where, you have these people writing films where like anything that happens with regard to the black community is like, you're running around in a jungle somewhere and everybody's speaking, the slang in their, ooga booga language or whatever. They wrote that. That's not necessarily what was going on. That is the way that they wanted to portray the community. And those things like that, we deal with these films and some of them symbolism, context,
The
you know, oh,
Tarzan movies.
mm-hmm,
Well, Gone with
exactly.
the Wind.
Mm-hmm,
Gone with the Wind. Before we leave that, Gone with the Wind. The
Mhm.
symbolism is right there in your face.
mm,
These Southern people, these Southern Confederate soldiers, these people, they were honorable people. They just wanted to live a life. You know,
yeah,
and
where
also
they,
General Sherman and
mm-hmm,
coming down, burning Atlanta, just destroying it.
Mhm.
It was uncalled for. It made me
yeah,
sick. I was 12, 13, whatever. I
yeah,
saw it on television. It made me sick. And I said,
yeah,
this type of movie is called great. This is a great movie. I'm like Sonia with Birth of a Nation. It's like
yeah. So,
this is a
excuse me.
great movie.
It's like
It
I'm
may be
missing something.
cinematically great. It may have great shots and all that, but the message that it's sharing
Mm-hmm.
detracted from all of that.
Yeah,
Well, I
And
mean, it's
the
like,
problem is the thing to me is like not just the message it was sharing, but the fact is it's how we see a lot of film now
Hmm.
is that when that message is there, it is placed in the film, placed in front of us as if we're all supposed to sit there and shake our heads like, "Oh yes, this is uh this is a appropriate way to live. These are honorable people. We're
yeah,
supposed to agree with that."
it's like
It's like,
shooting. It's like shooting me with a pretty gun.
right,
It's
right.
like your bullets are beautiful.
Mhm.
The gun is a German, is a work of German artistry. It's a Luger,
Yeah.
and you shoot me right in my head because I'm black. And the beauty is there's no beauty in it whatsoever.
No.
There's
It's a
no technicolor
barbaric piece of
beauty here in it.
equipment.
There's
Yeah.
nothing.
Nothing, because I can't see that. I can't see that. It's like, you take me out and say, okay, we're going to watch this film where you see several, women being battered. But look at the cinematography, the way they do the blood spatter, the way that the bodies fall, it looks, almost artistic like a ballet. It's
Yeah,
like,
the way that woman
yeah,
is being, the way that woman being sexually assaulted, the
yes.
way it's filmed, the way you see the man with him, the way that he is able to manipulate. It's like, are you joking?
Yeah, I say, I'm sorry, I can't get past that. And the fact that you can get past it makes me look at you a little strangely. Now, it's one thing where you have the trigger warning. Say, look, this is the film with the very adult themes regarding sexual harassment, rape, where it's cruelty. These are
Hmm.
themes that are in this film. And then you can say, okay, let me, gird my loins on this one. Or I can say, I'm not going to watch this one because these are things that are much too distressing for me to watch and have people take trauma porn and tell me that it's entertainment. So, and again, like these issues that we're talking about, that's part of the substance of it, that you're watching a film and you get it, but other people don't get it. Or maybe they look at us and say, we don't get it. And so, well, you're taking this so personally. This thing didn't happen, to you. It happened to these people. It's just a fiction in a book. So, but so many people read that and they think of these things as just like, oh boy, I just wish that could happen to me. That's why I couldn't stand the play musical Mame. I hated that thing because she leaves New York and she's thinking, oh, look at me. I get to go down to the South and live on a big plantation and I got it made. It's like, what?
I never saw that film. Is it? She went to the plantation. What time frame did she go to the
I
plantation?
mean, it's got to be what,
Great. Right, it was after the Great
40s,
Depression. Yeah.
40s, I
Yeah.
guess, around the 40s, but still, it's like you don't think in terms of me coming down here to live in a place with some man named Beauregard or whatever his name was, that how did he get this thing that he has? Where did it come from? Where did that wealth come from? You know? And I know in the Lucille Ball version of it, which I saw when I was I guess middle school, high school, middle school, that she has her place that she created down there for unwed mothers. She took
Yeah.
over the plantation when he died, and she made it into a home for unwed mothers. Now, in that version, you see all types of young women who are there, different cultures, ethnicities, and stuff. But I'm pretty certain that in the original, they didn't have any people of, other ethnicities, because it's probably just for, women who were.
No, the original had it too.
I only saw the
I
Lucille Ball version.
Okay, yeah, the original had it with Dennis Patrick and I
Rosalind
can't
was it?
remember.
Was it Rosalind
Rosalind.
Russell?
Yes.
I never saw that version. I only saw the
Yeah.
Lucille Ball version.
I
I
only
knew
saw
about
the
the
original.
film.
I
I
saw
knew
the
about the
original.
film. I
That's
didn't know.
and I saw it
No
on
interest in
Broadway.
seeing.
Yeah,
Had no interest
that's
in seeing the
that,
movie or the Broadway play.
that's actually part of it because she does begin to realize, wait a minute, this
How do
isn't
you?
right, and so
Yeah.
this is her way of righting the wrong.
So yeah, I mean, but I was kind of like, what in the world? But again, like that concept that I've got it made because now I get to go down here and live in this lavish place. But but what bought that? How did that place get here? It wasn't because he was particularly smart or industrious. It's because they subjugated other people and made them work for little or nothing in order to
For
aggregate.
free. They were
Yeah,
slaves.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah,
yeah.
in the original, she does realize it's more of I get to end my family's suffering comes across
Hmm.
because they had literally lost everything. In fact, the butcher was giving them hand me downs just so they could eat, and so that's more of her relief. I get to take my family, and her family includes her multiracial staff.
Hmm.
And then when they get there, they're like, "Wait a minute, this isn't right." And so that's why she opens up the home.
Yes. All right, cool. Well, see, that's
But to
good to have
me, I
people here
mean,
to
and
talk about, what we see and what our different positions are with regard
Mhm.
to things like that. See,
Yeah, I
this
didn't
this is a
see the Lucille
conversation.
Ball version, so I don't know if
Hmm.
that's in there as well. But yeah,
Hmm.
it's in the original.
Okay,
yeah, but
cool.
once again, I know of the film. I know Rosalind Russell was in
Hmm.
one and Lucia Ball in the other, and I'm familiar with the play. I haven't seen neither film nor play, but to me, once again, the symbolism to
Hmm.
me is unique in that it shows the white person as being heroic, and I think that's that symbolism. Once again, that grooms us into thinking
Hmm.
that way.
Mhm.
And so, if you have a place in the South, hooray
Hmm.
for you that you have these multi-racial, multi-ethnic people there.
Hmm.
But what is that going to look like? I mean, what are they going to do? Build a big wall around themselves in the middle of whatever place
Hmm.
that they are in the South? I don't know what state it is, Mississippi, whatever. I don't know where it is, but that's not what the South is about. It's not what it's about now. It wasn't what it was not what it was about then. But we get this depiction of this white heroism that simply doesn't exist.
Well, it's like
And
the old joke where the person is speeding down the road in Texas somewhere, and they get stopped by the cop, and the cop tells as he passes he's speeding and he passes a stop sign. It doesn't stop. The cop, of course, rolls up on him and says, you were speeding and you ran through that stop sign. And the person says, stop, slow down. I slow down. He said, but it didn't say slow down. It says stop. So yeah, you know what? I slow down. And he said, okay. He takes out a nightstick and starts hitting him in the head and says, now, do you want me to stop or do you want me to slow down? So it's kind of that mindset to me is that you did a thing, right? And if I tell you to stop, that's the thing that makes it right. Stopping, not just slowing down. But guess what? You shouldn't have done it in the first place, right? So, okay, you did it. So now you're giving me a piece of what I want. Like, you're slowing down. You're not doing as many terrible things as before, and you want to be lauded. But you should not be lauded for slowing down. You should stop, right? So that's the way I look at it. It's like, you do these things and think like I'm heroic because I take a half-hearted effort to do a thing or an effort that's not going to hurt me. I'll do that. It's like I cannot remember who this singer was, and I'm sure you probably saw it, where she had some tow her Tesla away, and saying at some point you cannot basically give a lot of lip service to what you got to do and who it is that you are around and allowed to be around you. So get rid of the Tesla. Don't keep the Tesla. and say, well, I'm doing XYZ and
And I paid this amount of money.
right. Say no, because
I can't throw away
sometimes
all that money.
see,
Yes.
but yes, you can. Because sometimes you got to do that. You got to do those things. And it's like me trying to figure out how to, like, I don't use my quote unquote Twitter account, but I'm trying to figure out how you undo it. All I can do is like take out all my information, but I don't know how to undo it. They like to say, okay, now I want to take this off, have no more account. I'll figure it
You
out.
close it and you request all your data.
Okay, that's what I'm going to do then, because I need to do that. Because
And
you
that
know
they
what?
delete it after.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do. Just get all my stuff, delete it out, and say no more.
That's what I'm here trying
I'm
to
not
figure
going to have
out
a
too.
presence. Yeah, because we gotta stop just saying, "Oh," and I'm just going to go there to check my blah blah blah, to see if somebody listed information regarding my book or what. No, no is no. Stop is stop. You know.
Even if
And
you
I know.
think it's gonna hurt you. I mean,
Yes, even
the
if it hurts you.
symbolism in Hollywood is clear. I mean, you see it in To Kill a Mockingbird.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people say, "Oh man, what a fantastic film!" It shows the racism of the South
Mm-hmm.
clearly, and it shows a heroic attorney stepping
Mm-hmm.
up and defending a black man
Mm-hmm.
wrongly accused.
Mm-hmm.
Who could have any problem? Who can have a problem with that? When you watch
Well.
that film,
Mm-hmm.
and almost every scene to me, and I don't consider myself overly sensitive, but maybe I am. But every scene is it's a slap in the face as a black person.
Yeah. Was the thing that gets me is that if a person who is wrongly accused, and why can't this be a white person wrongly accused? Because I show, my how upstanding I am, that I will condescend to represent this black person, you know, because
in a
that's what it's
small
about.
in a small southern town. It's
Right.
like I'm
That
putting my
look at all
career.
I that's right. Look at all that I'm giving up in order to represent you, which is his job to do that. But, it's like, look at me, I will not be cowed, and I will do this thing. And every other, person watching this film who is not a black person, boy, look at him, how noble, right? How noble. Same thing can be said for what is it? A Time to Kill, John Grisham. At the end, when they're going through his final argument, and he's saying, because this little girl was raped by these grown men, and they're having this trial because they want the death penalty for this father for having killed these men who raped his daughter. He's a girl. She's not a woman. She's a little girl. So he goes through blah 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 his final his argument and says, well, if you imagine this thing happened and blah blah blah, but that the little girl was white, and everybody's like, ah, pearl clutching, eyes tearing, and I was disgusted by it. It's like, really?
That's the
That's
symbolism
that's
of it.
y'all, right?
That's the
That's how
symbolism of
you
it,
are.
and that's how some people
Yeah,
get that symbolism, and other people like you're either overly sensitive or you just don't get it.
yeah. I mean, I look at this like, that's what you have to do to actually join us in the human race. That you cannot get beyond looking only at yourself, navel gazing. That the only way that you become a human is that what you have to say is, everything that I think is due to me, I have to think of it as only due to me. And then by the transitive property, then I can apply it to you and say, oh, okay. But not because this is what you are due as another human being. It is only when I say, this is what we are due. And now I'm going to let you, wear the mantle of these privileges. I mean, you don't get them, because
Well,
we're merely tolerating you.
we heard it a lot. It's like senators and Congress people come out and they say, "Well, I'm against same-sex marriage."
Hmm.
Bill Clinton introduced the Defense of Marriage Act.
Hmm.
and then someone says, I was for that act, for that legislation, and then I found out that one of my children was gay, and now I'm for it. It's like that's that's
Yeah,
what it takes.
that's what it takes for you.
That's what it
You that's
takes.
like complete lack
I
humanity.
was totally
Just
in favor of cancer until I got cancer.
yeah, it's like yeah, these people. It's insanity to me. It's like where is your humanity? That all good things should happen to all people. I'm not going to say these are the privileges and immunities that are mine until I decide that you should have them as well. That's the problem, you know?
You know what's a
So,
good symbolism film too?
mhm.
Is Gattaca.
Ugh, one of my favorite films of all time.
I don't think I've seen Gattaca.
Oh
I'll put
my,
it on my list.
excellent film, one of my favorite films of all time. I mean, and I don't want to spoil it for you. I don't spoil if anybody's listening and watch. If you have not seen Gattaca, put it on your list. It is, Ethan Hawke's best work in my mind. Jude Law, you know,
There's so much
yeah,
symbolism in the film to
yes,
me.
and fantastic film. It just everything, everything. I mean, you have an entire course on Gattaca, the meanings in every scene, the
But
meanings.
I'm not sure people watching the film. It's a kind of a science fiction film, but I don't
Hmm.
think that when people see the film, they know the symbolism in it. I think you have to be of a certain mindset. I'm not saying you have to have some sort of superior intellect or something, but I think that you have to be of a certain mindset to see, to me at least,
Hmm.
the obvious symbolism in it. There's so many different
Yes,
But
aspects.
yes,
isn't that
yes.
why you usually set sensitive topics in science fiction or
Yeah,
fantasy
I
setting?
agree. I agree.
Because then that distances your people enough that they can watch it and hopefully it comes
Without
back
feeling,
that
you know,
attacked or
exactly,
yeah.
exactly. And that's why it is an excellent film. I
That's
mean,
why when people talk to me about when did Star Trek get so woke? Star Trek's just so woke. Have you not watched the same series I watched back in the
also,
day?
my question is, what do you mean by woke? The word is not for generally people who try to use it now.
Yeah.
It's not for them. You don't even know what it means, why it's used. It's a word that's used among us for our use, not for them. You know,
I
wokeness is not for them. Wokeness is
yeah.
for us. It's the thing that tells us, wake up
Up.
and
Yeah.
see what's going on around you. That is what it's for. And the fact that they even use it, you know,
That's when yeah, you hear the Florida governor saying that this is Florida's where woke comes to die, and then have his lawyers have somebody asked, "What do you think woke means?" And they're like,
right.
"It's awareness of a systematic injustice and the desire to fix that." And he goes, "And you want that to die?" And his lawyers just kind of sputtered. Um,
Mm,
well, that has to assume that there's a systematic injustice. Didn't you just say that's what
yeah.
the word?
Well,
Yeah.
Uh,
to me, I mean, you wake up all the time. You hear "wake up" or "woke,"
mhm.
Yes.
and you heard it in the Spike Lee movie "School Days," right?
Mhm.
Where
Wake
Lawrence
up.
Fishburne
Yes.
says it at the end.
Mhm.
Wake up.
Yes. Yeah.
You hear it a lot, and we and before that film, we heard it a lot in the hood.
Mhm.
Wake up, and so now it's woke. But it's beyond simply race or injustice. It's economic
Mhm.
inequality.
Mhm.
It's a lot of the other exploitations that goes on. It's
Mhm.
like you know people saying that people are sex workers because they
Mhm.
choose to be, or it's a victimless crime. It's like those are unwoke things to say. Those are things that people who are asleep
Yeah.
say. And the reason that you sleep because you haven't opened your mind to the possibility that maybe something that you think is good is actually harming people.
Right. It's like I mean the film They Live, Stay Asleep is
Yeah,
what the
Yeah,
aliens are saying
that's
stay
what it
asleep.
is.
The first
And
Matrix. Yeah.
yeah,
I
they've
mean,
been able
have
to
you ever seen They
commandeer.
Live? What a
No.
great
They
that's They
live.
Live.
It's so. I
They
mean,
live.
is it
Hmm.
symbolism or not? Because
Yeah,
it's kind of in your
yeah,
face, but then it's not.
but
And
then
it's
it's not.
science
It is
fiction.
not.
And it's science
Hmm.
fiction.
Yeah,
Like
it
Sonia
is.
said, it's science fiction, so it's
It's not immediately threatening.
No.
and you're able to say some things about stuff
Hmm.
that you couldn't get away with other films.
Yeah, yeah, and it tells me as I watch and They Live, especially when you think of the poor and disenfranchised at one certain level, then you have this middle class or the strivers, as you like to call them, Otto, that what won't they do, right?
But
What
what you do,
won't they do
yeah,
in
and
order?
people, and I and
Hmm.
I love what is it, the phony brave. I
Hmm.
love the to talk about the phony brave. We saw it today. We saw it this week when you had Justice Department lawyers quit, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Because they wouldn't do what the attorney general wanted them to do, and then you had one U.S. attorney in New York sign a motion that the president wanted to be signed, and he said he did it in order to save people's jobs. But your your job,
Hmm. Your
that's
job
what you
is not
wanted
to
to
save
save your
jobs, but
job.
yeah, but your job is not to save jobs. Your
Your job
job
is
is
to
to
save your
uphold the
job.
Constitution. Your
That's your
job is to
job,
uphold the Constitution, not
to
to
save
save
your
jobs.
job,
That's somebody else's
And
job.
they're going to get fired anyway. So who cares? You know?
or make you ineffective, or
Right.
Yeah.
make you so ineffective that all you have is a salary. You're just getting paid to fill in a seat.
Yeah. Because that's what they want you to do. To rubber stamp whatever it is it said, but you're supposed to be upholding the Constitution. And
And
you
you
have
have an
to say,
oath.
I
And
can't do that.
understand,
Yeah, and we have an
you
oath.
take
Yeah.
as an attorney, you take an
Yes.
oath, and it's to one. It's not to one man or a political party or
Nope.
anything like that. It's to the United
The
States
Constitution of the
Constitution,
United States.
and all enemies of the United States, domestic
Or
and
foreign and
all
domestic.
foreign and domestic.
Foreign and domestic. Enemies of the Constitution are our enemies. That
And
and that's it.
so you saved your job. So the thing is that we get these movies of symbolism. They give us this idea of bravery, what it looks like,
Hmm.
and then we get to emulate the phony brave, or it's a lot of movies. The symbolism is what a racist looks like. Racist is a fat, sweaty white guy who
Hmm.
speaks
Who's
in a
got
southern drawl.
and got sheets in his closet.
Right, right.
That's
Yeah,
not
That's not what it looks like. And that's not what it looks like.
it doesn't look like your boss or your teacher
Hmm.
or your next door
I
neighbor.
mean, and let's drill down even further. Not just those people who look like that guy, but there are people who are his acolytes who look just like us. You
Just like
know,
you,
people, who raised us, they look just like that.
just like
And
you.
that's right. Those acolytes of those people and their ideas, they are not necessarily all looking like them. Let's say you may
No,
be my color, but you're not my kind. Remember that growing up?
yeah,
not like us.
Hmm.
yeah, not like us. And the thing is that the way that we understand racism and racists is that they look a certain way, and black people can't be
Yeah.
racist,
And you can
and that
avoid all of that because
But
you just stay away from them because
yeah,
now you know what they look like.
right.
right,
And that's the thing, and
right.
that's not true. So you're always constantly walking into a trap. But I mean, even if you could dig deeper, like I said, the concept that I always, I've thought about many years now is the fact that people cannot be racist because it is impossible. Because to presume that you can be racist means that if you stop doing whatever those things are, then racism would cease. But it doesn't because only the system can be racist. You just play your part in the system. So it's like you have to dismantle the system of racism because as long as you are acting in a way like these people, like the man who says, I'm trying to help keep people's jobs, I'm an attorney and I'm going to sign a document that I know probably violates, my oath as an attorney, but I'm going to do that. You know, that's that same, kind of mindset, you know, that you are in a system that is, to say it's not corrupt, it is rotting, that you are in this system's rotting. And so you're going to have to cut out the bad parts. You're not going to be able to just cover it up and just say, I'm saving jobs. You're just going to have to say, no, this, what you're doing is not what the righteous system does. So we cannot do that, period.
No, no, yeah, exactly right. The issue is I'm scared.
Hmm.
And I'm doing it because I'm scared. And if I do anything other than what I'm doing, I don't know what's going to happen to me. And I don't want to risk it.
You know what? And that's all right. Then say that. I think you should say that. I'm
Well,
scared. I don't know what's going to happen to me. If I lose my job, we won't have a place to live because we thought we were going to be living at this level for the next 10, 20 years. And now everyone around us is losing their jobs. And I don't want that to happen to me, that I don't have a place to live. You know, it's a
It's
very
not going to happen.
frightening thing for many people
We
because
think that
nobody
we have
expected
people
this.
in the system. We think we have people in the system that are brave. It's like the McCarthy era. You always get the guy, you always get the soundbite of have you no shame?
Having no decency.
Have you
No
no
shame.
decent shame? You know how long it took for that to happen? How many people supported McCarthy
Because they
and
were
his
afraid.
nonsense for years? For years. Until it
People were
came to that point.
denied. People
Yeah.
were denied, and even after that, that didn't happen overnight.
Yeah.
That was said and done, but it did not happen overnight.
You
That
know
just
how many
happened to
people
be
we got
the
this idea
starting the
about
groundswell.
ourselves. You know how many people supported Nixon and
Hmm.
wanted to Republicans and Democrats supported him and wanted him to stay as president?
Even though they knew,
Yes. We have this
even though they
idea,
knew,
this American ideal.
and I
That's
mean,
it.
right now,
That's what you see in movies. A lot of movies, the symbolism, American ideal. Even if I mean, in the movies where the American president has to stand up to aliens from outer space, we have this ideal that we're all going to be brave and stand together.
it'll be like that thing on, what is it called, Cosmic Slop, where they say, "Hey," the aliens say, "Hey, we're gonna come here and take all your black people," and they say, "Oh, no, that's not a good idea. We're not gonna do that. Well, we're gonna clean up all your air, your water, and make everything a paradise." Say, "Hey, so yeah, we'll send them off right away." And say, "How does this benefit me?" And I will do these things, and that is the horror. And it doesn't have to be, necessarily, black people, brown people,
No, no,
women, whatever it takes.
whatever
And
it takes,
this,
and like Kendrick Lamar said, right time, wrong guy, right? So it's
mhm.
like if aliens came to the Earth now and started to do whatever, do we maybe we should ask ourselves the question: is this the person that we want to be talking to aliens?
Yeah, on our behalf, I think, yeah, may not be the
well,
right guy.
yeah. Somebody had made the joke here about the aliens came down and say, "Take me to your leaders." Like you promised to, are you going to do? Oh, we're going to take him up with us and all that. Okay, here he is. Thank you. Get. You can take the next two down the line too. Just get him out.
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible because sadly, when we think about They Live, and that great symbolism, and that you really got to watch it if you have not seen it, but the
Oh,
concept of us stay asleep, that we have been asleep for a very long time. I mean, probably longer than we have been alive. We were born into a world where we're asleep. Like you said, like the Matrix.
the
We are
first
born
Matrix.
into a world,
Yeah,
the first Matrix. We are born into a world where we are already asleep.
and then those
And
who do know the truth, some of them just put me back under. I don't. The
they
real
don't,
world's way too ugly. Put me
too
back under.
frightening, too ugly, too much of a struggle.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Better to be asleep, and not know, what's happening.
I'm gonna taste the nice steak.
Yeah, that's right. I want
I
it
want to eat
steak
this.
is
I don't want to eat this
tender and
guac.
juicy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I want all the carnal pleasures of being in the
Hmm.
Matrix.
Like I said, ignorance is bliss,
Yeah,
and that I think has been our problem. That's supposed to be a bad thing, but a
we
lot of
want to live in
people,
bliss. Who doesn't want
yeah,
who doesn't want to live a blissful lifestyle?
yeah,
But I think that, you guys mentioned the some of the great symbolism movies like The
hmm,
Matrix and Gattaca and They Live. I think that's
hmm,
like you got to see those.
must view
Must
film.
view. But now there's other movies on the flip side of it
Hmm.
that are bad symbolism movies, like
Yeah,
The Searchers. I'm not sure if you ever seen that movie.
I have
The
not.
John Wayne one.
Yes, it's a John
Yes,
Wayne film, and of course,
directed by John Ford.
hmm,
So Natalie Wood is a young white girl who's captured by I think the Apaches and
hmm,
John Wayne and what's the guy's name? I forgot his name. Jeff. He was in one of the what is it? One of the Christ films. I forgot what
Jeff
the movie.
East,
Jeff
Jeffrey,
Jeff
Jeffrey
Jeffrey
Hunter,
Hunter.
Hunter.
Jeffrey
Hunter,
Hunter.
Hunter, Hunter.
They go out and they have to go get her.
Hmm.
They have to find her before she's ruined by these Indians.
Hmm.
So the symbolism behind that,
Got to
some of the things.
rescue. Got to rescue the fair from the savages.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that movie is
Well,
rife with bad symbolism in my mind. To me,
Hmm.
you may watch it. Anybody listening to this may watch the movie and think that the symbolism is good.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I know, like, what was that film called? Petrified Forest with Betty Davis. It's not symbolism because it's just like right out there in your face. But again, I talk about this all the time. This scene where her father, he owns this restaurant that's like the last gas, last food, before you're crossing into the desert. And this guy who's the short order cook there, who fancies himself to be her boyfriend. When you see that there really isn't a whole lot of affection coming from her side going to him. She is a waitress working there in the restaurant. She tries to write. She wants to be a learned person. She wants to be an educated person. And an educated man does come to that restaurant, and she's very interested in him, but because he is something new and different. But this other guy, it's like he is talking to her. There's outside in the back and discussing, relationships. And he was saying to her, I mean, basically, I mean, almost inside her clothes, saying, "Well, I know I like you, and that means that you like me. That's just the science, because I like you, and that means you like me." But even as her father comes out and sees this man, I mean, like I said, really, I mean, like almost in her clothes with her, he says nothing. He says nothing. He doesn't say, "Hey, hands off. That's my daughter. You can't be pawing on her like that, around here." And of course, I look at it thinking, are young men, grown men, who saw that film and they're seeing these scenes and they're thinking that this is appropriate behavior. Even when TCM, uh, they are doing there was, I can't remember who was it that um was the host that day for the film. Um, Whoever it was.
Mankiewicz was a man.
Mankiewicz, yeah, there was Mankiewicz who was the person who was hosting that film, but never said, look out for misogyny. It's kind of not, I want to say sexual oppression, but I mean, basically, I mean, it was almost like, sexual assault. If those things are triggering to you, there should have a trigger warning for that, because it was so uncomfortable for me to watch this. I mean, putting his hands and mouth everything on her and seeing her just, trying to ease away, back away, but knowing she could not really do it because her father needed a short order cook. So she could not really just tell this guy, look, I'm not interested in you. You need to go somewhere else, because then her father would probably lose his cook and they couldn't do business. So it's almost like being a prostitute, to that extent. that she has to allow this man to fawn all over her paw, all over her, put his body, his lips and stuff on her. She's not enjoying this, does not like it, but doesn't have much of a choice because she is,
This is the
going
best
to be
she's gonna
bartered.
get out here.
Right. And she's to be bartered, and I think it's kind of sad that they see these things, people like Mankiewicz, and doesn't even think about the fact that this should be a trigger warning. I mean, they have on TCM, remember that we're watching the Batman show? They have the old Batman
Yeah.
television show. And we're
The
watching
no,
this
it's the old
serials.
Batman serials they used to show
Serials,
in the
yeah.
movie theaters. Yeah.
And we're watching this thing, and okay, Batman, I mean, it's hokey and all, but boy, they just lay into the Japanese Americans. I mean, the nasty, venomous, disgusting things that they say about people who are Japanese American citizens. Americans. I was so shocked. And yet, no trigger warning. Nothing. Because they watch this and they're reading this, seeing these things. And to them, it's normal. I mean, they don't bat an eye to realize how
It's
revolting it is.
patriotic.
I mean, it's not patriotic because
Well, for
they're not
them,
Japanese. They're Japanese Americans.
for them, it's patriotic. For
Yeah,
their
yes, yeah, yeah, and you're right. And it is revolting that they are so myopic that they don't understand that these things are triggering for other people. And Lord, do not let me tell you about the Revenant when I saw that. And we saw it on streaming service. And so
What's the what's the
yeah,
symbolism behind that?
no symbolism, darling. But well, Otto walks out of the room, and I'm minding my own business, and I'm listening to this film, and then the first thing that comes out of this man's mouth is talking about the natives who are up in the Canadian border, up in Canada, calling these people tree niggers. I'm like, what the what? And Otto goes back to the room and said, "You wouldn't believe what these people just said in this film." And he's like, "What?" I said, "They." I told him exactly what they said. He's like, "What the hell?" And you know what? Them bitches doubled down and said it again.
I
Said it
was
again.
I was looking forward for the scene with the bear actually,
Yeah, yeah. But I'm
because that's all
saying,
people talked about, right?
but the thing is, that's the point. They talk about it because they're not triggered by it. They think that's just fine to call people. I mean, these are Native Americans living in Canada that have nothing at all to do with anything, the racism system down here. But they're going to make it in there. They're going to put it in there. They have no
well,
problem.
they were experiencing similar stuff in Canada, but Canada had the decency to apologize for it quicker.
I'm just saying that what does
Yeah,
the N word got to do with them? They had to find a way to shoehorn that into this
it's the only
screenplay.
reference that the
This
writer
screenplay.
had.
Yeah, you could not
Yeah, but you know
say
what though?
nothing. I don't get it.
What's the name of that British film that we saw? I forgot the name of it. I forgot. It was a British woman who was black that was trying to pass or was passing as a white woman,
Mhm.
and they used the N word
Oh, I
so
remember that
often,
film.
and I
Is it?
didn't think. I thought the N word. My limited vision. I thought the N word was an American phenomenon, but
No,
apparently it's not.
no, it started British referring to the Southeast Asia in Southeast Asian people.
I mean, I do not know. I remember when I was a girl, the Little Black Sambo
Hmm.
books, and the tiger's tail tiger, is supposed to be India. And then,
Yeah,
but
Yeah,
these people,
I saw that, and I
yeah,
said,
they're
well,
very
that's
good
not.
about
that's where
taking
the
those words
yeah,
and making them, using them across many ethnicities.
just like
Very
the
good at that.
Thudge was the thugs. The word thug came from the Tudgies, which was an Indian sect,
Hmm.
and then
Yeah.
they, because back in Britain, if you're somebody's calling you black, they're not necessarily return calling of the African descent, it's usually the Indian descent.
I
I
think
don't,
that's
I
That's
don't,
nothing
I don't
to
know,
say.
but
that's
the N word
Yeah,
thing,
yeah.
well,
I
that's what
thought,
They're
you know.
kind of liberal with that. They like to sprinkle it
Yeah.
on everything.
What is it? You catch a tiger by the toe? That's not where
Yeah.
that phrase came from, and that's from Britain. That's not
Mhm.
yeah,
tiger was not the original word used.
Mm-mm.
well, yeah. So that's my ignorance, but I was watching that movie, and they were using the word over and over again, and I was kind of surprised because it was a 1950 1960 movie,
Mhm.
and so I have never seen a British movie.
And boy, they
Although
sure were
the
free
word
with the
may
word.
have, what's that?
They sure were free with that word.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And in
I've
South
never seen a British movie where that word was used. Never seen that. Never seen a
Mhm.
British movie.
yeah, and in South Africa it's not an insult, that's just the word for black.
Yeah, you know why? Because that's what they chose. 'Cause
Yep.
they get
Well,
yeah.
that's just how the
Yeah.
how the
Well,
board language evolved down there. So,
it's like
yeah,
we're watching Alfred Hitchcock, which
Yeah.
they don't show this episode anymore in Alfred Hitchcock. You have to go off road to see it, but they use a South African reference for a
Mhm.
black person. Do you remember what it was? Penelope the Bird.
Capture.
What is
Capture.
it? Yeah.
Capture.
So it's not an N word. It's something else. So they don't even show that.
yeah, yeah. That it's interesting how language evolves. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting how racism
And they
and
used it just like with no just when they had it in that Alfred Hitchcock episode, man, they were just saying it. I mean, it was it was
they were saying it, and that episode, you would not find that episode on Peacock or any of the other streaming services showing Alfred Hitchcock Presents.
Mhm.
And there's another, what was the other one they used? The one where is the story written by what's the guy's name who wrote
Roald Dahl.
yeah, the one involving the British guys in India, and he's bitten
Mhm.
by a snake or something.
Mhm.
They don't show
Very
that one
different.
either.
But that one, the one that they did, the uh the version that was done for Hitchcock is very different than the Roald Dahl version.
The version they do for Hitchcock is not shown. The version they did for a Netflix with what's his name, who was in
Yeah, that
Sh-
was wow.
Sherlock. Yeah,
Mhm.
is
Wow.
is oh my god. And what's his name who did Gandhi? What was the name? The actor
Ben
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 Kingsley.
Kingsley
Kingsley.
Yeah.
is fantastic.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I've
he's
never been a Ben Kingsley fan, but he turned me into a Ben Kingsley fan in that episode.
Yeah. Wow. And I think that one they did the Roald Dahl version of that story.
people don't realize that Roald Dahl, what the original Charlie and the Chocolate Factory was supposed to be a black little boy, and
Probably the
because they
chocolate
didn't,
boy.
yeah, they didn't think he was going to sail in the states, so they
Mhm.
changed it
Mhm.
because you
Now,
can't.
now, people call Roald Dahl a anti-Semite, and I think from what I saw, what I've seen, or what I read, I can't give a full understanding or a full opinion of it, but it seemed like he was not necessarily anti-Semite, but pro-Palestinian, which is nowadays called an anti-Semite.
Which is the
For some
weirdest
reason.
thing when you realize that everyone from that region is Semitic.
Well, you know what it means, right?
Yeah, but they've co-opted a
Right.
term for an entire
Same thing
region.
with woke, right?
Almost.
So
Yeah, yeah.
So are you if you're pro-Palestinian, which means you would like Palestinian people to stop being killed and to live, then you're anti-Semite.
Mm, terrible.
Gary just put in there now the Oompa Loompas were inspired by the pygmies. I don't think the race they call themselves pygmies anymore, but yeah, the Oompa Loompas were darker than
Hmm.
pictured.
Yeah.
There's
Then
they were burnt orange.
the version that what's his name did. What's the guy? I keep forgetting people's
John
names.
Gene Wilder
Sure.
or Timothy Chalamet
Timothy
or
Chalamet.
or Timothy
Tim Burton.
Tim
Tim
The
Burton.
Tim
Tim
Burton
Burton.
version.
Johnny Depp.
No,
That's Johnny Depp.
Mhm.
okay, okay. So the one that they did, the different versions that they had ample opportunity to do it right, right?
Yes.
They could have done, the Chocolate Boy and the Oompa Loompas being so-called pygmies. They could have done it right, but they just do a different version of the same damn thing.
I don't know how it would have
Well,
felt. What they think they did do kind of like the people being like pygmies. I don't know. We should learn the right word.
right.
And I think they had that in one of the versions, right?
Then the Gene Wilder, they were shorter and they were more a darker orange.
They're Munchkins,
Yeah,
right?
basically colored munchkins. But
I figured that the
the
other one where they
problem that the first
same
two
guy
had, yeah,
over and over again, and they just that one guy, and they made all of them the same.
The Timothy Chalamet version, yeah,
I think they did a really good
with
job.
Hugh Grant.
That's kind of creepy. I thought, why could you just hire a whole bunch of people and give them
Yeah,
jobs?
I mean, but the thing is that the thing that Sonia said in the beginning with Birth of a Nation, it's the kind of vanity of saying, "Oh my God, look what I could do cinematically," you know, and
And the first,
not
At your
looking at what
expense.
it is.
At your
yeah,
expense. Yeah.
right. And the first two versions were hampered in that Roald Dahl was alive, so he had say in what could be put on. I didn't see the Timothy Chalamet one, so I can't tell what their excuse was.
Other guy.
Probably the same kind of excuse, or the fact that we say it's an excuse is the issue. But I mean, without knowing all the background, the best one is the Gene Wilder one,
The
especially
original.
the
Yeah.
original one is the best one. And I like what Gene Wilder says at the end, regarding you know what happened with the kid who got everything that he wanted. He lived happily ever after.
Yeah. Yeah. There's no trick. No, then he, fell off a mountain. So, it's like, no, he lived happily ever after. That's what happens. So I like that. Right. Well, I'm looking at our clock and we are definitely rolling over, a little bit over, but it's a wonderful conversation. But good. I'm missing some of the crew, but I think we held our own this evening. So thank you very much for joining us. I'm trying to think what's coming up. What are our what's on our calendar coming up for the end of February? Other than me having to go to jury duty. Anything else?
Well, the thing.
Oh,
Yesterday was Valentine's Day,
It
and
was
today, what is that special day after Valentine's Day?
Lupercalia.
And what is that exactly?
chocolate sales.
Lupercalia is a Roman, I guess, festivity of sex and debauchery and food. It's a real, big
Sounds a
celebration.
lot more fun than Valentine's
So
Day.
the 13th was Galentine and Black Love. The 14th is the holy day, St. Valentine's Day. And then you go right back to all the stuff bad stuff you were doing immediately after.
No, 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 no. It's not bad stuff. It's a holiday.
That's why I said bad
Not
stuff.
bad. We're celebrating it.
No, but the
What-
church doesn't recognize it, so it
Good
was
stuff.
bad.
Good stuff.
Well, sex and
Lupercalia is
food doesn't seem bad to me. But what
neither.
about this the 13th? What is that you're saying?
The 13th was Black Love Day. It was declared the day to celebrate joyous black love and to
Is
celebrate
that
its
new, or is that
No, it's been around since 1998, I think.
that's
I'll
new?
Well, I found because someone was putting out a romance novel and they're like, "Oh, we're just going to declare it Black Love Day." No, it's actually been declared that already.
Mm.
Let me see if I can find it. Actually, let me see if I can find it.
That sounds
It
kind of
was a
new
New
to
York
me. That's like,
Times.
what's that? 27 years old?
Mhm.
Hold on. It was a New York
I
Times
do Black
article.
Day every day, so I am fine
Huh?
Yes.
every day.
Okay. I'm putting it in the discussion.
Mhm.
And it was the day that Frederick Douglass chose to celebrate his birthday. It was the 14th.
1998.
No, the 14th. Why is it not
Valentine's.
showing? Why is it not showing up?
I do not know. Oh, could be because uh, I don't know. I said we're over time, but that's not right because we're still on, so it should show up.
I don't know.
Let's try again.
Also, at my
Nope,
one of
it's
my,
not letting this show up.
well, I have to
Huh, I'll
mention,
put it on the chat later.
Okay.
Penelope, one of my new favorite cartoon, Common Side Effects.
Oh wow! If you what is the channel that it comes on the streaming service?
Adult Swim.
Adult Swim. Uh, Common Side Effects. If you're not watching it, try watching it. I mean, we are enjoying it. I think the new episode comes out tomorrow. I think so. If you get
I
it
think
tomorrow,
so.
I think you'll have
Yeah,
what 4 episodes. If
yeah.
you get it tomorrow,
It's kind of thing that you you know the topic of your show was symbolism and
Mhm.
movies and like the Kendrick Lamar stuff.
Yes,
But
yes,
do you think a lot of symbolism leads to people thinking about conspiracies and they go down rabbit holes?
sure
Do
they
you think?
do. Sure
I'm
they.
sure there was a lot of rabbit holes being dug during the Kendrick Lamar stuff because a lot of people saw them as personal attacks. I'm like, he's not attacking any person personally except for Drake. He's talking
Or
about
was he
the.
attacking the president of the president since the president was
See, I
there?
put my thing on there. I put cheese. Do you see my thing where I put
Yeah,
cheese?
your cheese showed up, but my stuff didn't show up.
That is bizarre. I don't understand. I put cheese just to see, and it does say cheese.
Yeah, mine keeps saying failed to post.
Huh.
That's okay. I'll paste it in later.
Okay, cool.
I'll
Because
paste it to when the final video posts up in YouTube.
all right, good idea.
But yeah, I'm sure that people fail to see that he was going after the institutions that cause
Right,
the game, not the people in the game. That
right. But I mean,
So
the thing is, this, you understand, just like they say in the Matrix, which is very important, that some people are so invested in the system that
that
they will fight
yep.
to protect it. And that's what it is. They're so invested in this thing that has dehumanized them that they don't even realize,
Or if
that
they do realize it, they don't want it what it would say about them.
So in that sense, is symbolism like that a good thing, or should something be spot on like they lived in the movie They Live?
but
I
they
think
live
there's
it's
room for
symbolic
both.
because I think remember because they're talking about aliens, right? But it's not really aliens, is it? It's something else.
But it's more direct than it would be
But
like.
it's still symbolic. Of what's being done is very
Yeah.
symbolic.
Symbolism gets you a chance to look at things more objectively.
I think so too. I think that
Or do
that's the
people miss it? Like Invasion of the Body Snatchers. Do they see that, or do they see people just see a bunch of pods from outer space taking over people's bodies?
uh,
I think they see what they want to see at the time. And
I think
hopefully with age and more time they would see the thing. Everything has subtext, and hopefully eventually somebody would see subtext.
Or
mm,
High Noon with Gary Cooper.
yep.
Do they see that going against McCarthyism, or do they see it as a guy just shooting and standing up for his town?
That's what they think. Somebody's shooting and standing up for his town, but even though the people in the town kind of, leave him high and dry. But I think the most important part about High Noon was not so much him fighting for his town and the people leaving him high and dry, is the fact that his wife, fiance, whatever, was a pacifist, and she's a Quaker. And when it got down to the get down, that she had to kill the bad guy because there was no one else to do it. And
Well,
that
yeah, it's like Keith Olbermann said with bullies. Um, you don't deal with bullies by being nice to them.
right,
You deal with bullies by taking them out.
yeah, you have to understand that at that point, High Noon, that these people are going to kill him. you know, and you have to make a decision. Are you going to let these people kill him when you have the means to stop them? Stop them. And that's what I think is most important. It's like you go through this. He is who he is, and she is who she is. But when it gets to, when the rubber hits the road, you have to decide, you know, where you are in this argument. Will you sit on the sidelines and let injustice be done, or will you, even if it's against some of your major tenants, will you stop it? And that's
Well,
you know,
we know they're not in the We know they're not in the U.S. Attorney's Office in New York. If you wanted to, somebody wanted to stiffen their back up against what's this political tidal wave that's coming our way, has come our way. Are there any movies that they should watch to try to gird themselves or inspire themselves?
I'm sure there are, but I had not
Yeah, I
thought
can't.
of that. Maybe we
Maybe
should make
that's
that
another topic.
to next week's topic. How do we gird our loins, as we say, against this tide? And what do we do to keep ourselves afloat? What is it psychologically, spiritually? What do we do? Which films, television shows, do we watch to give ourselves hope? I guess that things will be
Yeah, not
normal.
necessarily hope, but the stiff, as the British said, is stiff upper lip, so we can, like, we won't do like things like saying that we kind of save people jobs or something. It's like, it's like not the phony brave or the Fugazi braves, as we call it in New York, but the real brave, the brave brave.
Mm-hmm. I know. We should think about that for next week. I think it's a good idea. What is it that you know reminds you to be brave? And sometimes, my I'll talk about it next week. My concepts of how that works out. But y'all could be back with us again next week here in the Other Hood. And if you're listening, please know that you can just talk. Just let us know you want to talk. I'll send you the link. You could jump on in here and talk with us. So that's something that can be done. But again, thank you all so much. Have a wonderful long weekend because we have President's Day coming up on Monday. So if you have that break on Monday, take advantage of it. Do something practical for yourself, or just try to close your eyes, and relax. Well, look at a white wall and give yourself a poor man's lobotomy, whatever it takes to get you through to the next week while we unravel all this stuff. Okay. So thank you so much. Good night and pleasant dreams.
Good night.